It's a pleasure to be back here with you in Antwerp, exactly 1 year after our first meeting. And indeed, last year I came to Antwerp to listen to your worries. And it was a new start for industrial policy in Europe at that time. Since then, we at the Commission held dedicated dialogues with most of your strategic sectors, including a social dialogue just last week. And I must tell you, I'm very grateful for these dialogues because the results have shaped the priorities of my new Commission. And indeed, today we have approved in College the Clean Industrial Deal. And the Clean Industrial Deal, if you look at it, delivers on each and every one of the 10 recommendations in the Antwerp Declaration. So, your central demand was to make a clear business case for Europe. And I'm willing to do that. But before I address the challenges, let me start with a quick view on the strength that we have in Europe. Europe has got talent. We produce 1/4 of all clean tech patents in the world. That is more than both in China and the United States. Europe has a top-class infrastructure and we are investing in it. If you take, for example, the hydrogen sector. Last year, final investment decisions on electrolyzers in Europe have quadrupled compared to the year before. That is the fastest growth worldwide. Europe has a clear roadmap and we stay the course. Last year our emissions from the energy sector went down by almost 10%, while the consumption of energy went up by 1%. And yes, we are on track to achieve our 55% emission reduction target for 2030. And this gives you the predictability you need to plan your investments. At the same time, I know that too many obstacles still stand in your way. And Prime Minister, you have mentioned some of them, from the high energy prices, indeed structurally too high energy prices, to excessive regulatory burden without any question. We know all too well that production costs have increased, specifically for energy-intensive industries. The demand for clean products has dipped and some investments have moved to other regions, so we must turn the tide. And this is the central goal of the Clean Industrial Deal. We want to cut the ties that still hold you back, so that Europe can not only be a continent of industrial innovation, but also a continent of industrial production. And I want to highlight 4 areas on how we plan to do this. First, we have to, and we want to invest more than ever in innovation. Innovation, innovation. It's actually one of the first demands in the Draghi report, close the innovation gap. Europe is a front runner, for example, in the global race for clean tech. Let me give you 3 figures. Here in Europe, we have 30% of all innovative companies in electrolyzer technologies worldwide. 30%. We have 20% for carbon capture and storage, CCUS, and even 40% for wind and heat pump technology. And this is where we can really beat global competition. But I know that too often these companies struggle to grow and bring their solutions into industrial scale. This is where the problem sits. So what do they need? First and foremost, they need access to capital, to finance. And I will not speak about completing a deep and liquid capital market today. This is absolutely for us paramount, the Capital Markets Union. But they also need public investment. As a first step, we will make a European financing instruments much stronger. Our Innovation Fund has financed many groundbreaking projects, including here in the port of Antwerp. But we also see that every call that we have in the Innovation Fund is heavily oversubscribed, and we have to turn down many of your good projects. So this has to change. And therefore we will mobilize up to 100 billion euros to establish a new decarbonization bank. We will soon launch new auctions on industrial decarbonization, building on the very successful model that you all know of the hydrogen bank. So the decarbonization bank is the same principle like the hydrogen bank. Important is, this is a market-based system that rewards the most innovative and the most competitive companies. And this is just what we need. We need competition, we need them innovative, but they need access to finance. We will finance them with resources from our emission trading system. The message you gave me last year was loud and clear. You said, this money that comes from the industry should be reinvested into the industry. So that's what we're exactly doing now. So we're coming back to the promise we gave you last year. In addition, we will present a new state aid framework. State aid for decarbonization and clean tech will be approved faster, it will last longer, and it will give you more predictability to speed up the innovation. And let me tell you, I understand very well that it's not only in state aid, only about European competition, but it's about global competition. So we've learned the lesson of the last mandate. We have to change the framework, we have to adapt it, and we have to be faster and more predictable for all of you. There's one innovative sector I want to focus on in particular, and that is circularity. Europe has clearly a first-mover advantage here. 1/3 of all circular technology companies are European, and I know that some of them are present here in the room. And if we look at figures, more than 50% of our steel, iron, zinc or platinum are made from scrap. And this covers more than 25% of European consumption. But we need to go faster and further. For instance, China controls 80% of the global battery recycling capacity. And we still send huge volumes of precious waste back to China. Instead, end-of-life batteries could provide almost 15% of the lithium we need already in 2030. 15%. This is enough to produce 2 million batteries for electric vehicles. So, we need a paradigm shift on circular economy. And to support this movement, we will present a Circular Economy Act. We have to keep critical raw materials waste in Europe and give it new life. And this is not only good for the planet, it also supports our open strategic autonomy. Ladies and gentlemen, the second pillar of the Clean Industrial Deal is simplification. And we are delivering on the promise I gave you last year. Simplification is vital to Europe's competitiveness. So today, as you know, we have presented our first 2 omnibuses. The omnibus substantially cuts reporting obligation on this magic triangle that is taxonomy, CSRD and CSDDD, and we also add CBAM, abbreviations, but I think you all know these abbreviations very well. This could save up to 6 billion euro every year for European companies. And this is more than the annual budget reduction target we set initially. What are the figures? If we look at CSRD and CSDDD, around 80% of the companies will be excluded from the scope of the CSRD and the CSDDD. Around 90% of companies will be exempted from mandatory taxonomy. And our CBAM proposal will exempt 90% of importers. Now, you can say, what is about the carbon footprint? Well, let's look at the figures together. These 90% of companies that we are exempting now from CBAM are responsible for less than 1% of import volumes, so less than 1% of the associated emissions. So the climate impact in this change is minimal, while the positive impact on the SMEs is huge. And more simplification is on its way. I want to repeat my call I did last year. If you come with good suggestions, doable suggestions, we're grateful for that, we want them, and as you see in the first omnibuses, we included already a lot of what you wrote to us. So a fleet of omnibuses will target red tape and administrative burden in a number of areas, but I also want to be very clear. Our climate and social goals do not change, because our commitment to the social market economy is unwavering. The social market economy is the foundation of our European single market. Because the young people would never forgive us if we did not rise to the challenge of global warming. And finally, because you, the industry, you need predictability. In other parts of the world, we are now seeing the impact of political U-turns for investments. We're staying the course towards our decarbonization goals, but on the way towards these goals, we will be adaptable, we will be flexible, we will be pragmatic and technology neutral. And this session here today is the proof already of the beginning of this attitude. The third priority in the Clean Industrial Deal is to bring energy prices down. You all said it, they're structurally too high. Europe's dependence on imported fossil fuels is the main cause of these higher, more volatile energy prices. The more we have to import fossil fuels, the more dependent we are on the global market. So we have to bring these prices down. And of course, we do not start from scratch. Since the launch of the European Green Deal, we have saved 60 billion euros of fossil fuel imports. And how was this possible? Because of the low carbon approach, thanks to cheap, homegrown renewables and as a base load nuclear. But we need more predictable prices than we have today. This is good that we have reduced, but we need much more predictable prices and structurally lower prices. So, we need more connections across Europe, more energy offtake and more energy efficiency. And all of this and much, much more is at the heart of the so-called Affordable Energy Action Plan that we also have presented today and that accompanies the Clean Industrial Deal. The Affordable Energy Action Plan is a lot about accelerating the rollout of clean energy and electrification. It is about ensuring well-functioning gas markets. We have sometimes quite strange distortions of the gas markets. And it is about completing interconnections and grids. And actually, earlier this month, I was in Lithuania to celebrate with them their newly won energy independence, because what have they done? They have finally decoupled the electricity grid from Russia and coupled it to the European Union grid. And for the Baltics, this is not only about energy. This was very deeply about sovereignty, this is vital, and this is strategic. And we should do the same on our entire continent, connect our energy systems, upgrade our grids, speed up the permitting. I speak to myself and to all my colleagues in the political functions, speed up the permitting, and make our low-carbon energy available all across Europe. So we will systematically, with this Affordable Energy Action Plan, remove remaining obstacles so that we build a true energy union. Ladies and gentlemen, the last priority that I want to mention of the Clean Industrial Deal, and it is much bigger, but you can read it, is to adapt to a harsher global competition. To remain open to the world, that's so important. That has always been the hallmark of the European Union. Seizing the new opportunities that are there and connecting to growth centres. Since taking office last December, the new Commission has been delivering on this commitment. In the first week of December, we finalized a groundbreaking partnership agreement with Mercosur. Before Christmas, we concluded with Switzerland. In January of this year, we concluded trade negotiations with Mexico, and we launched negotiations with Malaysia. And as you said, the College of Commissioners will travel tonight to India, and we are also negotiating a free trade agreement with India. We want with India to strengthen the ties, expand trade with the world's largest democracy. So it's a lot about going around in the world. We have many, many friends in the world that want to do business with us, and my function is to enable this and to ease this business for you with other regions of the world. Europe has been an industrial leader for centuries because we have always managed to ride the wave of change. Our industries have constantly renewed and remodeled by families who passed on their knowledge from one generation to the next, and by disruptors who dare to leave the old path for the new one. So today, we stand again at a watershed moment in our history. And I know that together, we are ready for change, so that the future of industry can continue to be made in Europe. And that next year, I would love to come back to the Antwerp Summit to report what we've done in between, to listen how your reality was.